What if everything you think you know about self-discipline is, well, wrong? What if it's not about gritting your teeth and forcing yourself to do things you hate? What if it's something else entirely? Today, we are going to dive into a powerful mindset shift that can turn discipline from a punishment into, believe it or not, a superpower. We're going to unpack a method for building it from the inside out, starting with the way you actually see yourself.
So let's start with a feeling, one that I bet a lot of you know really well. This isn't just about hitting snooze one more time. It's that deeper feeling, right? That feeling of being stuck on the couch, knowing you should be doing something else, but you feel like you're anchored by this invisible weight. It's like a mental fog you just can't seem to push through. And hey, this isn't about judging that feeling, it's about seeing it for what it is, the starting line.
And it goes a little deeper than that. That feeling of being lazy, a lot of the time, it's rooted in being kind of self-absorbed. And I don't mean it in an arrogant way, I mean in a way that just traps us in this little bubble of what feels good right now. We scroll, we snack, we binge another episode, all for these tiny little hits of pleasure that don't actually lead anywhere. It's a cycle that feels good for a second, but it just leaves us feeling empty and totally disconnected from our bigger goals.
And that leads to, well, let's be honest, this feeling. This is that moment of brutal self-assessment that honestly has to happen before any real change can begin. It's more than just being a little unhappy with yourself. It's a genuine, painful lack of self-respect. It's looking in the mirror and just feeling this deep sense of disappointment. But here's the thing. This painful, raw feeling, that's the solid ground we're going to build on. Because you can't build something new until you admit the old way just isn't working.
And then this, a simple statement, but it's so incredibly powerful. Going from that deep place of self-loathing to a new place of genuine self-respect. This is the promise of what we're about to get into. I mean, that is a monumental leap. So the question isn't just what changed. The real question is how? How in the world do you bridge that massive gap? Well, the answer is a single, powerful concept that I think most of us get completely wrong.
So let's get on the same page. What are we even talking about when we say discipline? It's not about being a robot. It's definitely not about feeling motivated all the time. Come on, motivation is flaky, it comes and it goes. Discipline is what you do when motivation has already packed its bags and left. It's about that moment when you feel that heavy pull of procrastination, you hear that loud voice of doubt, you feel the resistance, and you just act anyway. It is the simple, profound act of keeping the promises you make to yourself.
All right, so here's the game plan. We've got a 5-part blueprint. First, we're going to completely rewire how we think about discipline, connecting it to self-love. Then we'll get really clear on who we're becoming with your disciplined identity. After that, we'll tap into some fascinating psychology with the power of loss. Then we'll get super practical with systems for starting and sustaining. And finally, we'll wrap up with the art of doing. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, and honestly, this is the most important part of this whole thing. It is the foundation. We have to completely reframe what discipline even means. See, most of us see it as this punishment, right? This rigid, joyless drill sergeant in our heads yelling at us to get up, to eat the salad, to stop being lazy. But what if that's totally backwards? What if every single discipline choice is actually an act of deep, profound self-love?
Will Smith has this amazing way of putting it. I want you to think about someone you truly love, a kid, a partner, your best friend. If you saw them about to eat an entire pizza that you knew would make them feel awful later, would you just let them? No way. You'd step in and say, hey, I love you too much to let you do that to yourself. Self-discipline is just doing that for you. It's the loving part of yourself stepping in and saying, hey, I love my future self too much to let my present self make this easy choice that's going to hurt us later.
And what's so cool about this is that it creates this upward spiral.
Think of it like a giant, heavy flywheel. At first, it's really hard to get it moving, but you start with one small act of self-love, which gives you the juice to make one disciplined choice. When you follow through on that choice, you earn a little bit of self-respect. And that new self-respect, it fuels even more self-love, which makes the next disciplined choice just a little bit easier. And pretty soon, that flywheel is spinning on its own, building its own powerful momentum.
And here's a perfect example of how this actually works in the real world. The person who came up with this method, they were terrified of marine life, but they really admired people who were brave and faced their fears. So they just decided to act like one of those people. They started spending more time in the ocean, on purpose, facing that fear. And every time they did it, they'd get out of the water thinking, wow, I did that. I faced the thing that scares me. It stopped being about the fish and started being about proving to themselves they were the kind of person who does hard things. And that's it. That's how self-respect is built, one respected action at a time.
Okay, so that idea leads us perfectly into our next point, crafting your disciplined identity. Once you start to believe that discipline is an act of love for your future self, the next obvious question is, well, who is that future self? We can't act out of love for some vague, fuzzy idea. This isn't about saying, I want to be healthier. No, this is about creating a vivid, high-definition picture of the person you are becoming.
I want you to really pause on this one. Seriously, if you can, just close your eyes for a second. Picture the version of you who is disciplined, the version that keeps the promises they make to themselves. What time do they get up? What's the first thing they do? How do they walk and talk? Just feel that sense of calm confidence that comes from being in control of your own life. This is so important because we all act in line with the identity we have for ourselves. If you want to change your actions for good, you have to upgrade your identity first.
Okay, let's make this real. Like grab a pen and paper real. What does their ideal day look like, hour by hour? What food are they eating that fuels them instead of draining them? What clothes do they wear that make them feel capable? Who are the people they hang out with, people that lift them up? And maybe the most important one, what do they say no to? What boundaries are they setting? Answering these questions makes your future self a real person and gives you a clear target to aim for every single day.
Now, here's a huge hack to make this all stick. Design your environment to be your ally, not your enemy. Your physical space is constantly sending little signals to your brain about who you are. A messy room with junk food out on the counter, that screams old you. But a clean space with your gym bag already packed by the door, that screams new you. By designing your environment on purpose, you basically make your desired actions the path of least resistance. You're no longer fighting your environment is now actively helping you.
All right, let's get a little sneaky now. We've got the mindset of self-love, we've got a clear identity. Now let's talk about a powerful psychological lever we can pull to really supercharge our motivation, especially for those big goals where the resistance feels huge.
So this is a fascinating little quirk in our brains. Think about it like this. Finding 20 bucks on the street feels pretty good, right? But losing a $20 bill that was in your pocket? That feels awful. And the research actually shows that the pain of losing something is about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining that exact same thing. We are just hardwired to avoid losing. So the question is, how can we use this against ourselves in a good way?
Okay, here's the playbook. It's genius, really. Use a service like Stick.com to set up a formal contract with yourself for a specific goal. Let's say going to the gym 3 times a week. Then you put real money on the line, say $100. But here's the brilliant part. You choose an organization or a cause that you absolutely cannot stand, an anti-charity. If you miss your goal, that money automatically goes straight to them. The pain of losing your money, plus the even bigger pain of knowing it's helping a cause you hate, well, it creates a nearly unbreakable motivation to get to the gym.
Okay, let's move on to our fourth point, systems for starting and sustaining. Look, mindset is great. Identity, awesome. But we need the nuts and bolts that make this work day to day, right? Because willpower, it runs out. So we need simple systems that make doing the right thing the easy thing. This is all about getting over that hump of just starting.
Starting is always the hardest part, so the trick is to make it ridiculously easy. If you have a writer's block, don't try to write a masterpiece. Just open a document and rant about whatever you hate for 5 minutes. The goal isn't to be good, it's just to get your fingers moving. Or for waking up, there are apps that literally make you get out of bed and scan the barcode on your shampoo bottle just to turn the alarm off. It removes the choice when you're at your weakest.
This joke from the great Mitch Hedberg is, honestly, it's one of the best explanations of discipline I've ever heard. Sometimes the absolute smallest, most meaningless little extra step is enough for our brains to just go, you know what, never mind. That second plastic wrapper is the enemy of toast. It's a tiny bit of friction, but it can be the difference between doing something and not doing it.
So I'll ask you, what's your toast? What's the thing you want to do? And what's that stupid, tiny second wrapper that's getting in your way? Is it having to dig your running shoes out of the closet? Is it having the junk food right at the front of the pantry? Is it having your phone on your desk when you're trying to work? Find that friction and be ruthless about getting rid of it. Lay out your gym clothes, put your book on your pillow. Make the right choice the easiest choice.
And that brings us to our final piece of the puzzle, the art of doing. We've set up our mindset, our identity, our systems, but what about those moments when it's still just hard? This is where we learn to train our willpower like a muscle, so that when we need it, it's actually strong. This is about the simple, powerful art of just doing the work.
This proverb, it's not just some vague philosophical idea. It's actually super practical. Your discipline isn't built in one big, heroic moment. It's built in 1,000 tiny, seemingly meaningless decisions you make every single day. The way you choose to make your bed trains your brain for how you'll tackle a huge project. The way you resist checking your phone for 5 minutes trains you for how you'll resist bigger temptations. It all adds up.
So here's your daily workout at the Willpower Gym. It's called discomfort training. In small moments, you just intentionally choose the slightly harder option. End your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. It literally trains your brain to do things your body is screaming at it not to do. When you're bored in line, just don't pull out your phone. And follow the 2-minute rule. If you see a task that'll take less than 2 minutes, just do it, right now. Each one of those is a little rep that makes your discipline muscle stronger.
So in the end, it really comes down to this. The goal isn't to someday achieve discipline and then you're done. It's not a destination. It's a practice. It's a constant, moment-to-moment choice about who you want to be. The resistance, that voice of doubt, it's always going to be there. But when you see the work of self-love, when you have a clear identity to guide you, and when you see every small choice as another rep in the gym of life, the climb itself starts to become the reward. So, are you ready to enjoy the climb?